out. Item B, information shared with SMEA. Item C, public employee discipline dismissal. We propose a motion in closed session. Board member Ms. Cordero moved, Ms. Flores second, and it was a 4-0 vote during closed session on this matter. We voted to employ Eusebio Martinez, ED, as principal for Oakley School effective September 15th, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And that Eusebio Martinez be placed at column F for each 30 for the principal salary schedule in accordance to his experience on the principal salary schedule. Item D, conference with legal counsel anticipating litigation. In closed session, the board approved the settlement agreement between the district, the Santa Maria Bonita Education Association, and 42 individual teachers, tutors concerning the employment status, seniority date, and back pay for said teacher tutors. Excuse me. Specifically, the board approved a monetary settlement with the value of up to $494,981.37 payable to 42 separate teacher tutors who were employed during the 2019-2020 school year, as well as clarification on the seniority date and employment status of the teacher tutors. In exchange, the 42 teacher tutors will each release the district from the employment-related claims arising from their employment with the district, and SMEA will release the district from any similar claims and agree not to pursue claims against the district on behalf of any teacher tutors not included in the settlement. Payment for the information monies will be contingent on executing the aforementioned release. It was a 4-0 vote unanimous. Can we all please stand for the pledge? I will lead. Put your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have Battle School here today for inspiration.
Hello, I'm James Barnett. I'm the principal at Battle School.
I'm Carrie Molina. I'm the assistant principal at Battle School.
And for inspiration today, and thank you for having us, by the way. But for inspiration today, we made a short video about battles just to show you our kids and what we believe in some of our community. You say good morning. Welcome to Battle School.
We try every day to just greet students in the morning and to be welcoming. It's really important that we see them as they come through the gate and try to make a connection with them. This just helps them as they go through their day, and we just want to be there for them.
Wait, I see you.
No?
I see you.
Begin, engage, accept, respect, and succeed is what Battle's bearers believe. Each day we begin with a positive attitude. We put forth our personal best. We are responsible for our learning and create a safe environment where we all can succeed.
For me, I am special. I am special. I am important. I am important. I am kind. I am kind. I am unique. I
as they count on me. They're like, they help me, they help somebody's backpack, we help each other.
Nice.
Ready to Taurus? Yeah! All right, here we go. All right. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah.
Here, shove your notebooks out. I thought I'll get your notebook back out, please. Angel, get your notebook back out. Here, first step. List all of the multiples. So we have 3 and 5. We need to list
At Battles Elementary School, we cultivate a culture of learning that fosters a safe environment for students to challenge themselves. Students are held to high expectations with rigorous standards-aligned content. An emphasis on ownership and demonstrating learning is seen in our classrooms.
You're going to walk on the white line. We're walking while we're on the white line, and then when we get to the grass, you can go, right? Walk on the white line. Do you have a snack, Adon? Thank you, Richard, for walking on the white line. Thank you, Christopher.
That's about 5 minutes left. Let's make our next step. Come on, you guys are doing such a good job.
At Battles, we believe in the critical role our families and cultures play in the education of our students. We value community engagement. We strive to create an environment where students and their families feel seen and heard.
So thank you very much. That we just hope that brought a little bit of our school culture and our families here too.
It did. When they were doing the dancing, my sister and I used to take that class from Parks and Recs back at the park by the Boys and Girls Club. Brought back memories.
Okay, that was our preschool program. They did that for the end of the year last year.
That was awesome. Thank you for the presentation.
I also like to thank you because I saw a lot of really wonderful things in that short video clip. I noticed how intentional you all were about welcoming our students when they first enter the campus. I know, unfortunately, sometimes our families don't always feel that, but if we have staff that are cognizant of that, then it creates that welcoming environment that we want for our families. So thank you for that. I also saw the use of affirmations in the classroom. The one that stood out to me the most was I am loved and I can make a difference. And so it makes me feel really wonderful to hear that our students are learning about the power of affirmations. I also saw music as a tool to teach. That was really wonderful. I saw Baile Folclórico. I remember when I was an elementary student, we did square dancing, I believe it was called. And to me, it's this and that, right? It's about, why don't they learn about things that affirm their culture while also learning about traditions that are typical in American culture? So I loved how you all encompass both of those. And then I heard you say that we want our students to feel seen. And that's wonderful because that's what we're striving for as a board as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for noticing that.
Thank you for the bulletin board too.
Oh, yeah.
FYI right away. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we got a story for each one of those.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So now we have a recognition, and tonight is the first presentation of the Key to the District Award, and an honor that Santa Maria Bonita School District will celebrate during the school year. Now, each board member will have an opportunity to select a staff member, a volunteer, family advocate, supporter, or community member
who has had a remarkable influence on the schools and students of Santa Maria Bonita. The key to the district is reserved for a member of our SMBSD family that a board member believes has had a positive impact on the lives of our students. It is the highest recognition by the Board of Education, and this recognition is presented to an individual who exemplifies extraordinary support for students, families, and staff. This prestigious award will be presented by board members this coming year. Each will have an opportunity to do that. It's important. It's really an important way for us to share our appreciation for individuals who go above and beyond to make our district better and share their excellence with our community. So the first presentation will be our board president, Ricky Lara, and he will either present at the, right there, it's the, what do you call that, a podium? Yes, it's called a podium. Sorry about that. And what you can do is present at the podium and bring up.
You mind if I just read from here?
Yes, read from there and then bring up. Okay, well, as a current board president for Santa Maria Bonita School District, I have the honors of doing this, and it was very difficult. I discussed with my wife and my kids, and there's so many in the district. And there's one person that stuck out to me because this gentleman, when I heard his name when my son was going to school, it wasn't even his teacher. This teacher is an extraordinary man because he makes a connection with every kid and every parent. And from the day that I got to meet him until now, he is a man of his honor, of making sure our children are getting the best education they can. He's a man that I've seen personally at sporting events after school on his own time because the kids had told him they were playing baseball, and he's showing up and he's taking pictures of the kids and their parents. He's just a person of knowledge and kindness and perseverance, and impeccable that there's not a child that doesn't forget him. I was talking to him, and there was a story that he had ran into a student he had in kindergarten when he first started teaching in the district. He ran into him at the store. The gentleman went up to him and introduced himself and his wife and kids. And so that it's been 23 plus years, he was a little shocked, brought back, and the gentleman introduced himself and just wanted to say, hey, I'm glad to see you. Thank you. You know, you're a big part of me going to school. And this was a kid that was in kindergarten that is now a parent and has kids in the district. And I got one other story before I present this staff, the reason why. There was one kid that after he graduated high school and went to college, he said he wanted to be a teacher. And my wife and I were set back because it's my son that I'm talking about. He never had Mr. Dobransky as a teacher, but Mr. Dobransky is what pushed him, not even having to be a teacher, to go into this profession, to be the best educator that he could. And when you have children that are not in your class and look up to you as role models, that's really powerful. And now my son is a high school teacher in Garden Grove because Mr. Dobransky had part of his life. And I'm sure he's touched a lot of kids and parents' life in one way or another and guided them in a direction that they didn't know where they were really going. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Dobransky and give him the 2 words.
Mr. Brad,
Yes, sir.
do you have family here?
I kind of sort of do.
Do you have friends here? Do you have Hey, bring some people up. Let's take a picture with you. And maybe the board can come down and we can take a couple more pictures.
Wait, are we gonna make him do a speech or is that after?
After we take pictures.
Yeah, I don't want to screen in the back.
Come on, kids. Come on, kids. Come staff. Come on,
Fellow staff, David Abden, come on, fellow staff.
The greatest. Easy to talk to, and make you guys laugh and learn. Come on out. Come on.
You owe me, Dave.
All people in the back.
And I just also want to say my name is Roy Barra. It was a fun No. Yes, I did. Of course, thank you so much for your work.
This is weird. I don't know why. It's like all I do all day is talk, and it's weird being up in front doing this. All right, so I had to make notes because I knew I forget what I was going to say. So first off, thank you very much, guys. Ricky, thank you so much. I had a conversation today, and he stole my story. But it's okay. It's okay. No, I ran into a former student who came and said, Mr. Dobransky. I'm like, looking at this guy. I'm like, I didn't have any clue who he was. Beard, mustache. He's like, late 20s now. He's like, I was in your class in kindergarten. Like, that was my first class I ever taught at Ontiveros. By the way, thank you very much, Joanne, for hiring me. So it's like, he had to remind me who he was. He's like, I normally am pretty good at recognizing former students. I'm like, I don't know who you are. He's like, it's Tony. I'm like, oh, I'm like, does your dad still run Dorwiener Schnitzel on Main Street? He's like, yeah. So it's interesting how fast it all comes back once you see a former student. Once you said his name, it's like you instantly picture a 5-year-old kid. It was insane. So anyway, so when I told my class I was getting this award, the first thing they asked, of course, was, what does the key to the district do? So being the teacher, I'm like, how can I make this an assignment? So I asked them, okay, so guys, I said, so, what do you guys think the key does? And here are my top 7 favorite answers. And Maria said, the key could give you a house, a car, or it could open a box with stuff in it. Not bad. Selena said, I think we'll open a candy store. Steven said, I like this one. Steven said you could probably use it to pop open the top of your soda can. Jonathan said the key might open a bus so we can go on a field trip. Jack said it can give you the power of the school district. I don't know what that means, but I want to find out. Nolan said, in my opinion, I think the key to the district opens a magical room where kids are forbidden to go. It's called the Teacher's Lounge, and it's sort of cookies and cream, as well as a magic lamp that grants you 3 wishes. And then Janine said the key would open every door in the district, or it might be for a box of school supplies. So fingers crossed there's some paper in there. That's all I'm asking for. One of my favorite quotes, it's by an English novelist named William Makepeace Thackeray. I didn't know who he was either. But he said, whatever you are, try to be a good one. And I figured, recognition is hard for me. I was telling Ricky that this is not what I like. So my principal's like, I got hired to do a job. I do my job, right? That's what I do. But you know, I love what I do. I definitely wouldn't do anything else. It's like, what else is that great saying? It's like, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Like, I kind of feel like that's where I'm at right now. I mean, there's always ups and downs through whatever's going on, you know, whatever, but I do my best to, you know, make each kid's day as great as I can. And, you know, because I feel like in the end, it's like I'm working for the kids and the parents, you know. I know I've got other bosses and stuff, but I feel like in a sense, they're my bosses too. And so that's why I definitely do my best to make their day as pleasant and as academically exciting as possible. So, and that's about all I have to say. I'm really bad at ending. Sorry, guys.
Wow, that was awesome. Item D, calendar of up-and-coming meetings, activities, and events. October 12th, 2022, regular board meeting. October 26th, 2022, board study session. Public comment period. The public comments are intended for members of the public to address the Board of Education on items involving the school district. Such testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes each, 450 words per person, subject, and 15 minutes total each topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board president will, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. Dr. McDuffie, do we have any public comments?
Yes, we do. The first public comment, Ashley Askin.
This is my first time. My goodness. Okay. I don't know what to do. So you just tell me.
You're fine. Welcome.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
You got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Ashley Askin, and I'm a 6th grade teacher at Miller. This is my 10th year with the district. In the 2021 school year, the district took away reading counts and accelerated reader from all school sites. Our students have been less encouraged to read as a result. Asked my students if they had a statement they would like for me to read to you. Here's what they had to say. Reading counts gave us reason to want to read more and more books than we would normally read. I was very encouraged about reading because of reading counts, and now I don't read as much as I used to when I was younger. I think that reading counts should be back because we used to read more books than we read now. Reading counts gave me a reason to read, and now that it isn't here, I really don't want to read as much as I used to. I feel like they should bring it back because my levels of reading went down. One reason reading counts needs to come back is because when we had reading counts, we had a reason to read books. My statement about reading counts is that we should honestly bring it back in my personal opinion. Reading counts helped all students read a lot more books, and they would achieve a great prize for their hard work. It should be brought back because it will let kids have more experiences with books and increase the amount of books they have read. Since I was in 3rd grade, I've always wanted to go to the DJ dance parties, but without reading counts, we don't do those anymore. True. My sister, who is 4 years older than me, got to go to the DJ party. When she talked about it, to me it sounded so fun and it inspired me for the future to do good so I could go to the DJ party. But without reading counts, what goal am I supposed to reach so I could go to the party? I have been waiting for 4 years. So far, I just go, but I haven't yet. I think reading counts was better because we could turn in tickets and the principal could draw the tickets and we would win. Also, I did not like them taking reading counts away because I did not read as much as I used to, and I could just read them without interest or without focusing on them because there are no questions. We also got to go to a DJ dance party. Big party. The reason why I want them to bring back reading counts is because I want to improve in reading, and it was a much interesting way to read. I think reading counts has to come back because I think that when we did reading counts, it made reading fun. Reading counts helped me. I loved reading books and doing quizzes. My Lexile was high. Then they took reading counts away. My Lexile kind of started decreasing. I would really be happy if they brought reading counts back. That was from 13 different students. And reading counts, if you're not sure, is just a program the kids read novels they get from the library. They take a quiz and they got a ticket and they would draw tickets for prizes. And 5th and 6th graders had the DJ dance party. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andy Hall. Andy Howell. And I'm going to call the next person up so that they can just be ready. Jose Rodriguez.
Evening.
Good evening.
My name is Angie Howell. I'm a second grade teacher at Battle School, and I have been with the Santa Maria District for 21 years. I wanted to talk to the board and district administrators tonight about the need to bring back supplemental programs that were taken away from our students without any teacher input. We are the professionals that work with the students and see what truly benefits their learning. I'm asking the district to please bring back two crucial programs we have used with our students for over 12 years. The first is Accelerated Reader, also known as AR. This is the one program that truly motivated the students to read at night. In a perfect world, all of our students would be motivated to read on their own, but that is not reality. AR is a great program to hold students accountable for reading at home, and it increases reading comprehension. The other program I want you to please bring back is Starfall. Starfall is a phonics-based online program. It is extremely engaging for our young learners. It is beneficial for our newcomers that are currently not receiving any newcomer support right now. It is a program that benefits all students that need Tier 2 support, our students just learning to read, and students that need extra support in reading and math. Starfall also has math support and just added activities up to 5th grade as well. So it's from TK all the way to 5th grade can benefit from that program. Please value us as professionals to help make decisions on what is needed to educate our students. Please bring back AR and Starfall.
After Jose, we have Kathy Davis.
Good evening, my name is Jose Rodriguez, and I'm an 8th grade U.S. history teacher at El Camino Junior High School. I've worked in this district for almost 20 years. At El Camino, we have proudly the motto, education is the pathway to success. I've always understood a successful, well-rounded education to include exposure to novels. When I worked in the AmeriCorps and then CalSOAP programs at El Camino under the principalship of Mark Miller, we read novels and then we went on field trips that aligned with those novels. For example, we traveled to Monterey Bay, we went to San Francisco. These experiences enriched our students' lives and encouraged them to read novels. I also taught English for about 9 years. In my lessons, I created units with novels at the center. And contrary to some of the assumptions I've heard, my students also read nonfiction texts, poems, excerpts, short stories that supported the novel's themes. My students also participated in speeches, debates, research, skits, and plays. They created artistic and informative posters. We had Socratic seminars, wrote essays of every genre. We read. I was also an advisor for Battle of the Books until the club was no longer supported by the school district. But that was an excellent way for our students to develop a passion for reading that they could share with their peers. Morrissey, the frontman and lyricist for the Smiths, well, there's more to life than books, you know, but not much more. That line has always resonated with me. Actually, I have those words framed in my classroom next to my bookshelf. I've had students who would not turn in work for me, but who eagerly read books like The Outsiders. They would actually read ahead of me. And then later on, when we watched the movie, they said they preferred the book to the movie. I've had the most exciting Socratic seminars after reading Tuck Everlasting, because the students would have epic philosophical debates about whether or not humans should be immortal. In fact, one of my former students who went to attend Cuesta College, she died a few years ago. But thanks to Google Drive, I was able to go back and tearfully read her argumentative essay about how it would be unethical for humans to be immortal. Our students need to be reading novels. They should be at the heart of every unit of our English classes. Unfortunately, our students get mere excerpts of novels and articles, never truly experiencing the magic of bonding with characters and immersing themselves in their world. I hope that one day soon that will change because our students are missing out on reading opportunities that students in neighboring districts have. So my question is, where's the equity in that? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Jessica Quezada?
Righty. Good evening. My name is Kathy Diavis, and I am a transitional kindergarten teacher at Tunnel School. My partner and I teach the littlest learners in Santa Maria Bonita School District. It is the best job ever, most days. I'm here tonight to represent them and be their voice. In some areas, a temperature of 89 degrees is a wonderful thing. Picture a beach in the Caribbean with cool winds blowing and an ice cold beverage in your hand. Unfortunately, in a classroom, that's not been the best thing lately. Our classroom does not have air conditioning and our temperatures have been 89 degrees for 4 and 5-year-olds to be learning. We have no air conditioning nor any way to circulate the hot air but one single fan. And with little children in our classroom, a fan is not the most convenient way to air out a classroom or cool it off. Our students are unable to focus and learn due to hot temperature in our classroom. They look forward to recess where they can leave the excessively hot classroom and go outside to play. Unfortunately, our playground is not equipped with an area for students to find the shade. We only have one tiny little tree and no other shade areas for students to escape the blistering hot sun. One of Santa Maria Bonita School District's core values is we believe in the greatest learning occurs in a safe environment. A classroom with temperatures of 85 degrees or more is not something that I consider a safe environment. As a teacher, I work to ensure that these core values are represented in my classroom every day. I believe in my students and value their similarities and differences. I love every minute of my job. And I love Tunnel School, the parents, staff, and administration. We all work hard to provide the best education possible for our students and really are advocates for the district's excellence. I agree that learning occurs in a safe environment, however, and I don't believe a classroom with temperatures over 85 degrees is a safe environment for children, adults. Climate change is here, and experts say we will continue to see temperatures rise in years to come. Experts state that children are more susceptible to heat-related illnesses and their bodies struggle to regulate their temperatures. Santa Maria Bonita's district uses the word equity a lot regarding learning for all students. With global temperatures rising, it is time to upgrade our schools with air conditioning for all classrooms. True equity for all. So I thank you very much for your time. And a shade sector.
Thank you. Krista Klingle.
Hey, good evening. I'm Jessica Casada, and I am a 3rd grade teacher at Adam Elementary School. And I've been with this district for almost 13 years. I wasn't planning to speak here today. It was a little last minute. I also have a classroom with no air conditioning. I've spent my own money on fans and things. The past, week we've been, past couple of months actually, on and off. I'm standing there dripping sweat. My students are laying down. There's bloody noses. There's a couple kids that have puked that I've had to send to the office. It's just really hard. And I've gone into other teachers' rooms and the students and I perk up. We go to the computer lab for STEAM with Mr. Reed, and the kids are engaged and excited, and it's heartbreaking, honestly. And, I do the best I can. We sat outside under the tree. We highlighted, we did our social studies. It was just so hard to get any of the lessons done and to stay, on task in my schedule. And, I love my job more than anything. I'm excited to come to work every day. and I feel very blessed to be with this district. One of my students had Miss Waller last year, and in one of our class sessions, she brought up the word equitable, and she's an amazing, bright young girl. And I told the kids if they wanted to write letters, you know, in their journals, or write letters to the board, they could. And so this was her letter. I'll read it to you. Dear board members, how are you? I am doing fine, except I am very hot in my classroom. Some classrooms have air conditioning and some don't. We can't work like this. We are sweating and we can't concentrate. It is not equitable. Can you please help us? Sincerely, Melissa. So I was just very impressed with her letter, bringing up the word equitable, and I felt I had to share. So thank you very much.
Krista Kringle? Kringle? Is that Krista? Okay. And then, is it Jana? Hanstead Sarver? Oh, did I say it right? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Santa Maria board members and Superintendent McDuffie. My name is Krista Kringle. I teach fifth grade at Miller School. This is my 31st year of teaching, and 30 have been in Santa Maria. I'm a resident of Santa Maria, and all three of my sons have attended, and they've graduated from Santa Maria Benita School District and also the Santa Maria Joint Union High School. Well, I'm here tonight just to ask for your help in getting some intervention programs put in place for our students. These are students who need extra help in reading and math, both of them. This year, there's just not nearly enough extra support provided. There is only so much that a single teacher can do in a classroom of 30 plus students. It would be useful and effective if we could have intervention teachers who actually work with the students that are performing below grade level. This used to be a past practice, and it worked. Providing small group instruction 30 minutes a day would greatly improve their skills. We're also in dire need of interventions for our non-English speakers and that are new here. At my site, we do not currently have an ELD coach. And even then, their time working with the students is limited. My newcomers do not receive any services. I do not have materials for them or programs for them to utilize. We're not able to get Spanish versions of the textbooks, and in the past years we were able to. We could have services provided if we utilized all of our credentialed teachers that are in the district. I am completely baffled why we have so many TOSAs who do not work directly with the students. At the district office, there's around 16 TOSAs, and I might be off. And at school sites, approximately 42 coaches. So that's a total of 58 credentialed teachers who are too often not working directly with kids. That is more teachers than we have at my entire school site. I understand the coaches on sites are allowed to work with a few students for a limited time of the day, but only if they are participating in a coaching cycle. And a coaching cycle is for 2 teachers for 6 weeks. That doesn't serve very many students. I feel no ill will at all towards the TOSAs. And it's to me the district that has added so many of these positions. We need teachers that are working with our kids. The district believes the students will improve if the classroom teachers improve their Tier 1 instruction by being coached. Students would improve if they were provided more individual attention. Our students also need to be provided with a newcomer class that provides instruction to prepare them to function in the classroom. Please help us help our students. They need support more than ever. Reinstate reading and math intervention groups. They worked. I have recently been told past practices are not the best practices. We are foolishly removing too many wise past practices, improved upon and relied upon for years and put in place for problems that have not gone away. Intervention groups worked. Thank you.
Tracy Lipson and Kristen Lockman? Latchman?
Good evening, board members and Dr. McDuffie. My name is Jana Hunstead-Sarver, and I'm a third grade teacher at Adams School. This is my 22nd year of teaching, and I am back in the classroom this year after being out as the ELD teacher for 4 years, which then worked into the ELD coach. I'm speaking tonight to ask that you reconsider your decision that was made 2 years ago to eliminate intervention teachers and teacher tutors. Our students are in desperate need of intervention and the expertise of intervention teachers and/or teacher tutors. We are all aware of the gaps in learning that are a result of distant learning, and now is not the time to take support away, but it's the time to increase all the support we can give. In my third grade classroom of 27 students, I have 15 students that are beginning readers and 2 students at grade level. In math, I have 4 students that are at grade level. I know that my data is something that other teachers in this district are dealing with as well. It's not unique to Adams School. All of our students need more intervention than we can give them in small group time, no matter how strong our Tier 1 instruction is. Yes, I believe coaches support the Tier 1 instruction. I did that as a coach, but it's not enough. I'm not saying we don't need them. Coaches are a valuable resource and another set of eyes to help teachers perfect their craft and skill. But if you take the coaching analogy, all we did was hire the head coach with no supporting staff to go along with them. On most NFL teams, there are 15 assistant coaches with many more support staff to even assist those assistant coaches. In the coaching world, if a player needs extra support, they go to the coach that will bring them back to the fundamentals. That way, they can be ready to incorporate the new ideas and plays the head coach and team are trying to implement. Like a professional athlete that gets a full coaching staff and support, we professional teachers also need to be successful and have a full coaching staff available to us. Please, Team SMBSD, provide us with the successful staff that we need and the support our students need. They deserve that and they need it. Thank you.
Kristen Lohr? Kristen Lohr?
Hello, Dr. McDuffie, Dr. Cameron, and school board. My name is Tracy Lipson, and I teach second grade at Ontiveros. This is my 27th year in the district, and I'm here to speak about the district's implementation of the inclusion program. I have 2 inclusion students in my class, both of which were in mild to moderate SDC classes last year with 6 to 8 students and 3 adults. They are now in my gen ed class with 22 other students. One student has 720 weekly minutes in her IEP and the other 300 minutes. When I was informed that I would be an inclusion teacher, I was told how much support I would have. The SPED aides would even be able to work with my gen ed students. This was going to really help with my ELA groups as I could assign the RSP teacher or aide a group, and it would also help with my Tier 2 instruction. Due to aides being absent and many schedule changes, I can no longer count on aides being in my room to help out. Push-in and pull-out has been canceled on multiple occasions. Aides and teachers have been pulled to work with students that have more needs. As a result, my students have been missing out on their required IEP minutes. I feel strongly that consistent aides are necessary for all students to develop trust, especially the inclusion students. Much of my Tier 1 instructional time has been taken up by training different aides, as there have been 3 in and out of my classroom. There have been many days that I have no aide, which again means no push-in. I have had to improvise and create work for the inclusion students, pulling me away from my regular teaching. The aides that are on campus are getting shifted around as the RSP teachers are having to change schedules on an almost daily basis. This is not fair for anyone. RSP teachers, gen ed teachers, or any of the students. The aides have also expressed their frustrations. I was informed by the SPED department that the district is 41 special ed aides short. 41. Why would an inclusion program be implemented without proper staffing? It makes me wonder how this will improve next year when more aides will be needed as the program rolls out to 3rd and 4th grades. In addition, the extra personal and instructional time it is taking to fill out forms, IEP meetings, phone calls, after-school conversations with SPED parents, and so on is unrealistic. I believe with sufficient staffing, support from the district, training, and resources, an inclusion program can work. The inclusion teachers, RSB teachers, and aides are already exhausted, stressed, and frustrated. My gen eds are suffering. SMBSD was not ready for this implementation. This ship is sinking and your teachers are drowning. I invite any of you to come into my classroom and see firsthand what it really looks like inside an inclusion classroom. Thank you. Good evening, Dr. McDuffie and Dr. Cameron and board members. My name is Kristen Latchman, and I also teach at Ontiveros, 2nd grade. And tonight I'm speaking on behalf of 2 4th grade teachers, Jessica Morris and Lisa Chanlis. We are writing this letter to inform you of our concerns regarding our resource students with IEPs. The current implementation of the inclusion model without the proper personnel resources has led to the inability of the resource specialists to meet the legal minutes addressed in our students' IEPs. This is by no fault of the resource specialists nor the administration at JPO, but rather is due to their attention being put toward inclusion students that have one-on-one needs and have been left without a permanent one-on-one aid. Currently, we are in week 7 of the new school year, and our resource students have received 30 minutes total toward their reading goal minutes. It is imperative that our most at-risk students receive the instructional minutes outlined in their IEPs, which is not happening due to the lack of personnel support on our site. Furthermore, the teachers that do have the inclusion students have had to create modified curriculum with little training regarding the inclusion students' needs. We value all of our students and embarked on our school year fully intending to meet the needs of every child. We understand the intention of the inclusion model, but have seen a failure to implement its vision. In order for this to be a success, our district needs to fully commit to it in terms of personnel, training, and support. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. McDuffie and Dr. Cameron, board. My name is Kristen Moore. I'm a 27-year teacher at Santa Maria Bonita School District, and I am going to give you a little vignette of what a teacher has expressed is a typical day in her classroom echoes what the ladies have been saying ahead of me. And this is from Lisa Moranini. She is a 1st grade teacher at Ontiveros Elementary. So it's intended to be a snapshot of what a day would be like for her. I have a SPED student who has trouble writing and keeping up with class. She insists that everyone wait for her until she catches up. Occasionally, she will get so upset that she cries, screams, and carries on to the point that no work can be accomplished by her or the other students in the classroom. The other students in the classroom cover their ears because the crying and screaming are so loud. The aide that works with her tries to get her to leave the classroom, but she refuses. One particular day, we were unable to do anything for 40 straight minutes. The outbursts are not daily, but when the tantrums do occur, significant learning time is lost for the whole classroom. And I would just like to add that as part of our contractual agreements, we have a body called LMC. And in the later part of spring, we did bring inclusion, looking ahead to how we can maybe be proactive to make inclusion roll out really smoothly. The association has some genuine concerns, and I really feel like tonight is an evening of listening, and some of these things that you're hearing that are making the rollout bumpy at best are things that we ask to have parity in the discussion during the LMC meetings. And quite frankly, it was just shunned aside. So I do look forward to a positive conversation in the future and that we do have parity at the table when we bring things up that we know are genuinely going to be the best practices for our students. We come representing teachers, but teachers represent all of the students. So I just really appreciate the culture of listening that we're having even this evening and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Yvonne Duran, Katie Wilcox, and Faith Domitian.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Yvonne Duran. I am a fifth grade teacher at Robert Bruce Elementary School, but tonight I will be reading a letter on behalf of a fellow member from Sarai Ayala from Ontiveros. My name is Sarai Ayala, and I have been a kindergarten teacher at Ontiveros for 10 years now. I truly enjoy my job, my school, my colleagues, and most importantly, I care deeply about all of my students. I am writing this letter because I am concerned about the current situation in regards to the district-wide inclusion program. I have 26 students in my class and one with an IEP who should be receiving 120 minutes of weekly specialized academic instruction. This includes push in or pull out with an RSP teacher or an aide. So far, out of the 23 student attendance days, my student has received specialized academic instruction for only 4 days. Meanwhile, my student cannot complete assignments independently. She falls behind during whole group instruction, gets frustrated and rips her papers. She is very sensitive to other students looking at her, so she yells at them to stop looking at her. If she does not want to do something, she will say no, and we have to constantly prompt her and encourage her in order to get her to continue on. And she also has a difficult time communicating her needs as she has speech and language difficulties. The beginning of the year is always an integral time in kindergarten. We spend so much time establishing rules and routines that the rest of the year flows smoothly. My inclusion student is learning routines incorrectly because she does not have an RSP teacher or aide to explicitly teach the correct response or action to take. I cannot simply stop my instruction in order to explicitly teach her those appropriate responses. My amazing bilingual instructional assistant spends the majority of her time helping my inclusion student. She helps her complete her work and prompts her to pay attention and to not give up. As a consequence of my IA spending so much time helping my inclusion student, I have 25 other students who are not receiving some very needed academic support or interventions. I am disappointed the student is not receiving the help that she so desperately needs to be successful. Her family is trusting that the school district is providing the help that is stated in her IEP, and the reality is that it is not being done. I have another student without an IEP, but I will be requesting for this student to be observed and evaluated to see whether he qualifies for special ed services. Unfortunately, I fear that he will go ignored also. The reality is the inclusion students are not being adequately serviced. We need training for gen ed teachers, more RSP staff, and more trained RSP aides. I am very frustrated because I want all my students to be successful. And it seems that with the current status and organization of the current inclusion program, our little ones with the most needs are being ignored. I appreciate your time and consideration, Sarai Ayala. Thank you.
Hello, all. Dr. McDuffie and everyone. My name is Katie Wilcock. I've been in the school district for 15 years, and this is my 13th year teaching kindergarten at Miller School. I understand the need for inclusion. Statistics show that students with disabilities make more progress while learning alongside their peers. It is equally important for general education students to learn about their peers with disabilities. Disabled students have different and specific personal, social, and academic goals. In order for them to make progress towards these goals, they need to be well supported. That is not what is currently happening. We are compliant, we have kids in classrooms, but they are not receiving near enough support needed to achieve their individual goals. Our resource team is overwhelmed with the quantity of students and are not able to provide the amount of support these children need. The students who have been integrated are our youngest and most vulnerable students. Many are not yet capable of managing their sensory needs, and some are not yet able to toilet on their own. When these needs aren't met, we have students screaming in classrooms, taking off their clothes, kids running from adults in classrooms, and engaging in self-harm coping strategies. If the one aide who is in charge of toileting is not there, kids don't get changed. Kids have gone home with full diapers and serious diaper rash. As a teacher, I'm constantly forced into the position to choose. Do I stay with the class and continue teaching? Or do I attend to the student with a disability I may or may not be able to help them manage? The administration is overwhelmed with calls all day long to assist with students, to the point that they might say, no one is available. In one case, a teacher called for support and was told, if they get hurt, it's a natural consequence. This is a cruel response, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I wanted you to be aware of what is actually happening in schools. If you are in doubt, please come visit our campuses and see for yourselves. If inclusion is going to be successful, our students need to be well supported. Most IEPs were written for a very different setting than what they're currently in. A gen ed classroom is a huge change from a small special ed class. A student is going to need more support, not less, to be successful. Before I leave, I wanted to tell you the story of my student, student X. X transferred into my classroom during the second week of school. I was notified that I had a new student with a disability, but was not provided with the IEP. The student spent the whole first day in my classroom. At the end of the day, I sat down with their mom. She wanted to know about X's day. I started talking, but she stopped me. She asked, wait, what kind of teacher are you? She asked, are you a teacher for disabled students? I told her, no, I am a general education kindergarten teacher. She was devastated. She looked at me and said, I thought this was going to be the year they learned how to talk. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Faye Denisha, and I am the TK teacher at Miller School. This is my 22nd year as an educator, 15th year in the district, and 10th year as a TK teacher. Not way back, but just last month, we were asked in my first staff meeting to, they gave us this journal and I took it with me. Our administrators were asked, they asked teachers to write about our why, our commitment. And tonight, this is let me just tell you what I wrote on my why. I said, my whys are to touch lives, to inspire, to motivate, to cultivate the love of learning, to persevere, and to make students believe in themselves that they are capable to do anything that they would like to do. But for tonight, this is my why. All my students and the TK students in the other class wrote their names. And right here, this is my why and my commitment, why I am standing here tonight. It is such a privilege to teach all day, and I'm very thankful that they made it happen. Because I love spending time with the kids, because we know that will make a difference in their lives and their families. However, with the inclusion program, we are not able to make our commitment to do what I wrote in my why. We are here to set foundational skills, love of learning. And our schools are supposed to be the home, the second home of the children. And the teachers and the staff, we are the family, we are the second parents. We are there for the students to provide safe environment, safe learning environment, that the students will feel that they are cared for, accepted, and loved. But it's very challenging having the inclusion program. I teach 19 transitional kindergarten students, and 2 of them are in inclusion program. And I feel so sad when I see the kids do not have a successful day, because my job is for them to have fun at school. I ask for help. We ask for help. I will be the voices of these students who wrote their names today. I ask for you to please rethink, reconsider, replan what is the best for our students and our children, we can provide the best education possible for all of them. Quality education that they all truly deserve with equity and equality. Finally, we all strive to do better, to go above and beyond, because we love to do what we do. We know that we do best, to educate, to motivate, to inspire, and to make students that they are feel loved and accepted. On the very first page of my journal, I wrote something before the start of the staff meeting, and I would like to share that with you. Make school fun. When there's fun, there's joy. When there's joy, there's love. When there's love, there are positive relationships. When there are positive relationships, there's collaboration. When there's collaboration, there's engagement. When there's engagement, there's motivation. When there's motivation, there's growth. When there's growth, there's learning. When there's learning, there is success. Please help us make school fun so all of us will succeed, because we are all in this together. Before you leave tonight, I ask you to please think about your why and your commitment. Thank you.
Medina Asensio, Kayla Ailman, and Julie Johnson.
Good evening, board members. Mr. McDuffie, welcome back. Joanne Cameron, glad to have you here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dina Asensio, and I'm a fourth grade teacher at Taylor School. I've been working in the district since 1995. Okay. And during my employment, I've been involved with students in leadership in a variety of ways. I taught year-round and bilingual education. I've piloted curriculum, sat on leadership teams, and guiding coalition. I've taught summer school, after-school migrant programs, evening ESL classes to our parents, and my favorite, I directed and ran an after-school musical theater program. I want to add that I did that for free because I loved it. The students loved it, and they were very good at it. However, that won't be happening again for me, at least not for free. Today, I want to talk to you about relationships. Relationship between the district and the teachers. A relationship that has been broken for the past few years. A relationship that I hope that will soon be mended. We're looking to you, Mr. McDuffie, for a leadership where we work together. A leadership that can help rebuild what has been broken and is in dire need of fixing. A leadership where the teachers, the district office, principals, vice principals, fed teams, and the extremely valuable support staff and aides can come together in the best interest of our students. A leadership where we are unified and working towards the same goals for our students, together, and not as adversaries. You've heard a lot tonight on a number of topics, also probably through our walking gallery. You've probably heard us talk about class size, the sub-shortage, full inclusion. You've heard a lot about that tonight. The lack of support staff, the long days, and the excessive meetings that we've been having, all which have an impact on the learning conditions of our students. I hope that the messages tonight, or what you have been hearing, do not fall on deaf ears. Look at us in the room. Is this only the executive board of SMEA? Is it only a handful of people that are in this room or that are on the side of the road? Hopefully, the district office's misconstrued perspective of SMEA is now clear. We're standing here together, united. Our students deserve the best. They deserve smaller class sizes, quality teachers who have time to prepare lessons and give students immediate feedback. They deserve teachers who are both physically and mentally healthy. They deserve classrooms that are comfortable and not overheated. They deserve to feel safe in their environment, and so do the teachers. I'm standing before you today completely out of my comfort zone. However, I'm here today because there have been some injustices, disservices, and poor working conditions for both students and teachers. We are here to advocate for ourselves
and our students. I'm asking the board and district office to self-reflect on some of the decisions and things that have been implemented. I'm asking you to hear the many voices in the district. We are the ones in the classroom. We are the ones doing the work with the students. Respect our time, please, and give us the appropriate staffing and the help that we need within our classrooms. Yep.
Well, hello, good evening. I'm Kayla Ailman, the 4th through 6th Battles physical education teacher, and I've been in the district for 6 years. As my 8th year begins, I've noticed a few areas of student concern and for our learning environment. First of all, students learn best when we have a teacher who is able to successfully model emotional regulation through tones, words, proximity, deep breathing, and time management. Teachers can increase their capacity for emotional regulation when temperature is comfortable, which is hard to do outside, when stress is reduced, when relevant professional learning is available, and teachers are supported as professionals. With a healthy teacher, the classroom environment, thus the students, will increase their learning and enjoyment through the process. Students learn best when both the student and the teacher have a safe, productive learning environment. This includes access to adequate temperature for learning, water, internet, and digital devices. As a PE teacher at Battles, our lack of outdoor shade and access to a refillable water and filtered water source has made it difficult to maintain this productive and safe learning environment for all of my students. Students succeed when they are also taught by a highly qualified professional who has had continual research-based and subject-specific professional development. Students can directly benefit from the collaboration of teachers. For example, when I've attended state PE conferences, I've been able to implement strategies and different games that have helped my students increase their enjoyment and also increase their long-term success. So this passion brought back from conferences helps inspire students to succeed in their learning process as well. Students and teachers and school staff are people. We are people with real emotions, choices, preferences, and have a capacity to love and understand. I hope we as SMBSD can see people in our district as we see our students, creative and influential leaders. To summarize, Battles Elementary students and teachers deserve refillable water bottle stations, more shade, and continual emotional regulation support. I'd love to provide a tour of our site, and you're always welcome to join in the fun of PE. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, Dr. McDuffie, Dr. Cameron, other district administrators that are here this evening. My name is Julie Johnson, and I have been a teacher in the Santa Maria Bonita School District for 26 years. I am speaking this evening out of a concern for our students, our school communities, and my colleagues' health and well-being. The advent of multiple mandatory meetings per week has significantly impacted our students' school experience. Our time to adequately plan and prepare lessons, along with reteaching and enrichment, has been diminished. Activities that enrich our school communities and our students, such as extended day learning, family nights, and clubs like Battle of the Books, which no longer exists, are not happening with consistency at our sites, or in some cases, at all. This is not because we don't want to, but because we have families and other responsibilities outside of our jobs that are just as important. The time we used to devote to these additional school activities has been taken up by additional meetings and requirements. There is just not enough time left with this new schedule to do the extras that we have always done in the past. We cannot do it all. And despite popular belief, we are not superhuman. We are humans with huge hearts who do our best every day to provide the best for our students. We are here tonight because we care about our students and our school communities, and we are deeply concerned about how these changes to our schedules are affecting all of us. We are the hands and feet of this district. We are the highly educated, creative, hardworking faces of this district. We are valuable assets. We are not inexhaustible commodities. If student success is truly our business, then Dr. McDuffie and board members, your priority should be teacher wellness and the health of our school communities. If our focus is truly to be student-centered, then our time should be student-centered as well. Thank you for your time this evening.
President Laura, that's all the speakers we have for public comment. We do have two public comments that are from phone message. And just for your information, there are a couple of public comments that were written. I'm going to go ahead and read these. It has changed to people leaving messages, but I just want to make sure that those who put in comments that they've been heard tonight. So do you have those ready?
My name is Amy Crumples, and I am the PE specialist at Taylor Elementary School. Sharing my passion with students and working for a district I admire is my biggest privilege. Please come visit Taylor PE and see how much fun we experience on the field together. I am writing this letter in support of all Santa Maria Bonita teachers who wish to reevaluate our meeting minutes and return to dedicating one afternoon for meetings. Since the first day of school on August 11th, teachers have spent 920 minutes in meetings. While much of these minutes involve important work, none of these minutes have been dedicated to planning lessons. Please understand, supporting our students takes time and preparation, especially as we enter an inclusion model. I, like many teachers in the district, often sign up for after-school programs, committees, and coaching opportunities to further support and serve our community members. Therefore, every minute we are afforded to prepare and plan for our students is imperative. I appreciate the time and effort the school board puts into listening to all perspectives and ultimately doing what is best. Please consider the extra minutes spent in school meetings are taking away from lesson planning and therefore undermining the quality of education our students receive. Our bright, brilliant, and wonderful students deserve better. Thank you for your consideration. Dear school board members, my name is Amy.
Miles Gary, Milesgary. Topic is meeting time and contract. Dear members of the board, faculty, parents, and students, this is my first time writing to the board. I've never done so, even during negotiations. I feel the time is right for you to listen to what a teacher of 15 years has to say about quitting. I'm not talking about quitting and leaving the profession. I'm talking about a new term, the term quiet quitting. This is something I've unintentionally began doing about 5 years ago and began to master when COVID struck. Quiet quitting is defined by Johns Hopkins University as remaining in one's workplace while not actively going above and beyond. The concept of quiet quitting is resonating because the pandemic has been a time of reflection as people reassess their priorities and consider the fragile nature of humanity. We are constantly told to take care of ourselves and practice self-care. But guess what? No amount of self-care can cure workplace burnout. I don't need a massage. I don't need a workout. I need realistic expectations during my workday so that I can do the job I was hired for without additional tasks that require me to work beyond my contracted hours. Viewing quitting as quitting my job is deficit mindset perspective. Ed Zitron says the term quiet quitting is so offensive because it suggests that people that do their work have somehow quit their job, framing workers as some sort of villain in the equation where they're doing exactly what they're told to do. It's part of an overwhelming trend of pro-boss propaganda, trying to frame workers that don't do free work as somehow stealing from the company. This leads me to my concept and our contract of meetings. We've always had up to 7 hours of meetings per month, but never did we reach that number in the 10 years I've worked for San Maria Virginia School District. We are now expected to be in meetings for 7 hours, something that is new in the last 2 years. The content of these meetings then creates extra to-do lists that we don't have time for and often take up regular contracted hours that are supposed to be for student-centered work. For those of you new to the district in the past 5 years, the meetings were supposed to be time allotted for PLCs and to truly make a data-driven decision, but the extra hours for meetings have now been dictated as what we're to talk about. This does not allow for PLCs to happen because PLCs are not happening organically. We should be focused on students, not a district-created list of items by someone who hasn't been in the classroom for years. If you talk to any teacher, they will tell you more good work comes from PLC time. It happens during lunch, in the hallways, during recess, or during prep time than any district-mandated meeting. If given the time and opportunity for true PLC plus and data-driven decision-making, teachers will collaborate and support each other. The beneficiary being the students. There's two.
I'm going to finish up his comments. He wrote them and did a message. I'm just going to finish this up so he can finish his thought. The restrictive agenda is given during the current rollout of meetings does not allow for the examination of the needs of students, the collaboration to find best practices. We're just crossing agenda items off the list so that we can be seen as compliant instead of being given an open platform and treated as professionals and as those that know what is best as a community of teachers for our students. When PLC Plus is done with fidelity, the outcome for the students in the classroom is beyond measure. But back to the quiet quitting. Have you ever wondered why this is so hard to staff leadership, culture and climate, and other after-hour groups? Have you ever wondered why so few are signing up for after-school activities like volleyball? Guess what? Many of our fellow student members have also been quietly quitting, but they may not even know it. They're tired, they're burned out because of all the extra meetings and expectations. There's literally no time to attend all the meetings and be home for our families. I love being a teacher, but I will go into my classroom, work with the amazing students, and get great satisfaction from that. I'm going to get there when my contracted day starts, and I'm going to leave when my contracted day ends. I won't take work home, and I won't work on the weekends. I won't sign up to sub for any classes, and I won't work for summer school. I'm going to do my job. In summary, I don't feel like SMBSD values my time. I feel like I work in a hostile workplace that demands too much of my personal time. I feel like yet another meeting should have been an email. This is why I work my contracted hours in my classroom and why you may feel like I am quietly quitting. And then there's one final public comment from, I was going to say Kristen Cornejo, but it is Linda Ramirez. Hello, everyone. I'm here to bring attention to the need for new equipment, benches, playground, track for students at Arianas. I attend that school since I was pre-K in the 90s. It's the same playground I played on back then, and it is literally corroding beneath our children's feet. Our students deserve better. Our community deserves better. I will not accept that the county can spend $118.6 million to build a jail 2 miles from our community, but yet there are no funds for our children to have safe equipment. It is unacceptable. I urge you to please do what is in your power to advocate for our students to have the best equipment and resources. I wish I can attend this meeting in person, but like many others, I do not have the privilege as I am working. We work hard to pay taxes for everything. We pay property taxes every 6 months. It's unbelievable that there is no money. Thank you for your time and attention. Linda Ramirez. That's all the public comment.
Okay, Mr. Lau, prior to continuing, can I request a 5-minute recess?
Good with that? Okay, we're going to take 5 minutes. Yeah. The board meeting, We are done with our 5-minute break. Sorry for so loud, I'll tone it down next time. Item 5, approval of agenda is presented. Can't hear you.
Oh, I'll second that.
Ms. Flores moves, Ms. Cordero seconds, roll call.
Mrs. Cordero? Aye. Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mrs. Flores? Aye. Mr. Lara?
Aye. Consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Cordero moves, Mr. Valencia seconds, roll call.
Mrs. Cordero? Aye. Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mr. Holmeshead's absent. Mrs. Flores? Aye. Mr. Lara?
Aye, motion carries. Action item 7A, resolution 20-02, resolution of board compensation for missing meeting. Dr. McDuffie.
Attached, you have a resolution that must be adopted in order to compensate board members for absences from board meetings to perform services outside the meeting for the district. If the board member was ill or on jury duty, or the absence was due to hardship deemed acceptable by the board.
Make a motion that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2202, approving the absences of board members from meetings of the Board of Education as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Flores moves, Ms. Cordero seconds, roll call.
Mrs. Cordero? Aye. Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mrs. Flores?
Aye.
Mr. Lara?
Aye, motion carries. Item 7B, public hearing compliance with Education Code Section 60119 and CCR Title 5, Section 9531, sufficiency of instructional materials. Good evening, Ms. Loftus.
Good evening, Board, Dr. McDuffie, and Cabinet. This evening, I bring for you, just as a formality, the public hearing compliance notification for Williams sufficiency.
And we will hold public hearing.
Perfect. So the first that I bring to you this evening is simply that compliance piece.
Hearing closes.
Oh.
We had to open and close it.
I'm just very excited about Williams. Okay, so I'll start again. Okay, so this evening I bring for you the compliance piece for our Williams proficiency. The first notice is that we have sufficiently posted the notifications in all required settings in order to ensure that we have sufficiency of instructional materials for our students.
I'll move that the Board of Education adopt.
Ms. Cordero, can I have a question prior to approval?
I'm sorry?
I have a question prior to approval. A question that I have is, I noticed there was language around having parents, teachers, community members, bargaining unit leaders are encouraged to participate. So I'm curious as to what that process looks like. In what ways do we engage our stakeholders or our educational partners?
It is the method that we currently use is posting in those required public places, the notification that we are required, of course, to have all of these instructional materials in place. And the process for a parent or a teacher or a community member to reach out if they question or are concerned that these materials are not in place are part of that posting requirement that we have.
And so just for clarification, it's not like we have like, well, right now we just had a hearing, if you will, but beyond that, we don't have any type of like special meetings, either through Zoom or anything like that, where we say, hey, folks, do the teachers, do the students have the instructional resources that they need? We don't have any type of system or structure like that at this point?
We don't have what you're speaking to. However, what we do at the site level is our site leaders and our librarians at the sites work with all of the teachers to ensure that every student has what he or she needs. And that's part of the process that happens. The notifications go up. All of this work is done behind the scenes. And then I come to you this evening after that piece has been taken place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There a motion?
I'll move that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 22-03, compliance with Education Code Section 60119 and CCR Title 5, Section 9531C, sufficiency of instructional materials as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Cordero moves, Ms. Flores second. Roll call?
Mrs. Cordero?
Aye.
Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mrs. Flores?
Aye.
Mr. Lara?
Aye, motion carries. Resolution 20-04, establish 21-22 appropriation limits pursuant to Article 13B or 25B of the California Constitution. Mr. Beecher.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lara. On this one, I have Mr. King coming to the microphone to share with you about the GAN limit.
Thank you, Mr. Beecher. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is an annual item. Back in 1979, Paul Gann helped enact Prop 4, which limited the growth in government spending to be no faster than the growth in population and inflation. That was later changed to be based only on the change in per capita personal income. So each year, school districts are required to prepare the GAN limit calculations by the state constitution and have the governing board adopt a resolution to identify the appropriations limit for the district. GAN limit only constrain the appropriations from state and local taxes, so federal aid is excluded. This calculation is given to me once I do the complete the unaudited actuals. It's a form that our program, our SACS program, spits out, so I don't have to do any calculations. It just gives me what the numbers are. So in essence, what the GAN limit does is to limit or control the local authority of districts to levy or increase taxes. But when Prop 13 came around, the power for districts to levy taxes was essentially taken away. So the 21-22 actual appropriations limit calculation is $114,748,303. And the estimate for 22-23, $123,411,800. So presented for your consideration and possible adoption is this resolution.
Do we have any questions or a motion?
Motion that or recommend that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2004, establish 2021-2022 appropriations limit pursuant to Article 13B of the California Constitution as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Valencia moves and Ms. Cordero seconds. Roll call?
Mrs. Cordero?
Aye.
Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mrs. Flores?
Aye.
Mr. Lara?
Aye, motion carries. Item 7E, award of bid number 5241, Tri-County Office Furniture. Mr. Beecher.
Good evening, school board. It's been a while since I've been up here to award a bid for you, but Ms. McKnight is unable to make it. I want to just quickly cover this item. What we're talking about is bringing some modular furniture to the Sousa Center to provide better office conditions for a lot of the shared spaces that we have upstairs. If you've been up there lately, there are people sharing desks, cubes, offices, tables. We have people meeting in the hallways and in our open spaces, and it's all functional, but it puts a strain on the productivity, and it also puts a strain on the quality of the work that get done. A lot of what we're talking about tonight has to do with making sure that as our FOSAs are working with teachers throughout the district in Zoom, they have a more contained environment that isn't as distracting in the back with folks working, if there isn't layers of sound coming across the microphone, so that work is also more effective. One thing I want to make sure and stress with the school board tonight is that this is modular furniture, which means it's going to get installed, but it can be reinstalled and reconfigured in other places and in other ways if that setting becomes more appropriate. We've been talking about this for some time to try and find a way to make a better setting for this work. And what we have for you tonight, as I'm sure I find my way to this action item, is an RFP process. Important thing to note is that we did send these plans out to 5 different plan rooms, try and create a level playing field of multiple participants. We had 11 potential providers download the specifications. That led to one interested party submitting a proposal for the bid. A lot of times this is specialty work. There's only so many players. The company that did respond is out of Santa Barbara. They also have an office in San Luis Obispo, so they're not necessarily local, but they are certainly regional. As a provider, I think that's why they were the one that responded. They're in the area, so it's much easier for them to participate in the work and lead the work and installation, folks from outside the area. So with that as kind of a background, I want to ask if there are questions and request your consideration and approval of this bid for $156,148 and all 4 cents.
And just as a point of clarification, in that paragraph just below there, the amount is written again, except there's a comma after the 8 instead of a period, which would significantly change that cost. So we'll go with the one with the 0.04.
Correct.
Thank you.
Wondered if you were going to find that one.
And then thank you for mentioning a little context about the bidding process, because that is something that I do notice sometimes when we receive bids for work. Is I do notice maybe 11 people in this case will actually download, it looks like, the application or look into it, but then we only receive one actual bid. And that's something that I think something I spoke with Dr. McDuffie about is what, if anything, can we do as a district to kind of promote a more competitive process. I understand that we can't, give anybody any particular advantage or anything like that. So, of course, steering clear of that. But I would love to have seen, 2, 3 bids so that we get a better sense of, what is the price range that people are charging, right? And is there anything that our district can do to enhance from going from the prospective bidders to the actual people that give us a bid so that we can see some actual numbers?
So in this case, it's a challenge because it is such a specialty service that there are just not many folks who do this kind of work that are willing to travel to Santa Maria to do it. And I agree with you, Mr. Valencia. I would love to see more competition. I would love to see more participation. In even our more general bids where you might find broader participation, we still find just a few willing to participate. It just has to do with we're isolated to a certain extent in Santa Maria compared to a lot of places where you can get a greater number of bids in more densely populated areas, Southern California and Northern California. As far as supporting the process, we do make sure that we hold present understandable, discernible, usable specifications. And then we have a question and answer period where folks can ask questions of Ms. McKnight, and depending on who the project manager is, in this case, it would probably be Ms. McKnight or Ms. Loftus or Mr. Ricky, myself, Javier, answering questions that might come from prospective bidders. If we have broader processes, then we have more folks who provide those answers so that people get the information they need to turn in a bid. So that's the way that we try and transition folks from being interested to being prospective bidders. But if they open up the bid and say, I don't really do this work, or I'm not experienced with it, we can't overcome that knowledge gap. But we do hold that period for question and answers to make sure that they get the information they need if they think they can be competitive.
Yeah, thank you for that context. And I also appreciate hearing where they're from, hearing that they're kind of Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo office folks, because I know that's something that's also really important to me is stimulating our local economy, and when it's possible to contract with local folks so that those tax dollars, benefit our community as well.
Sure.
Questions? Motion?
I make a motion that the Board of Education approve the award of a contract for bid 5241, furnish and install modular furniture at the Souza Center to Tri-County Office Furniture Incorporated as presented.
I second.
Ms. Flores moved, Mr. Valencia seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve the award for the contract bid of 5241. Item F, certification of the 2021 unaudited actuals. I got one. I made one. That worked. I did. I got
Thought
two.
you had one.
I did. I do.
Walked away.
Underneath all of them.
Good evening, once again, board. So I was able to close last year, and that's what our unaudited actuals are, going over how we ended up in 21, 22. So what we'll look at revenues, expenditures, ending fund balance, COVID dollars, historical spending, and the demands on our fund balance. So looking at our revenues, this says a look back period of 8 years since the start of LCFF, which was in 2013-14, where our revenue came in at about 127 million. Now in 21-22, we ended up with about 272 million. You'll notice some couple things to point out, like in 2021, the red piece, the federal revenue, that's kind of a bump from our normal. Those were some COVID dollars that we received and did spend. And then in 22-23, a large jump of our state revenue, that kind of yellowish, that's a result of the one-time dollars we're receiving this year, the 10 million and the 32 million of those two block grants that I discussed for a 45-day budget revision. Moving on, looking at our expenditures. Once again, this looks back to the start of LCFF. Expenditures in 13-14 were about 123 million, and then 21-22 came in about 233 million. When you have higher revenue, you usually have higher expenditures, so it kind of keeps up. That has been our trend, other than a few odd years, which were COVID years, 1920 and 2021. Our revenue kind of continued to go up, but our expenditures kind of flattened out a little bit as a result of what was going on with COVID. We'll look at general fund expenditures by function. So functions represent the what, or the activities or services performed. So see that instruction, which includes anything attached to the district's direct interaction of teachers and students. It represents 61.7% of our expenditures, or $144 million. We have instruction related, which include administrative, technical, and logistical support.
Now we need a new microphone.
So instruction-related services, about 13.7%. Pupil services, which are counselors, psychologists, health services, transportation, 8.3%, about 19 million. Plant services, 7.7%.
Have a charged voice or something.
General admin, 5.1%, and then other outgo, 3.6%. What that is, that's our payments to our County Office of Education for the SELPA services. Moving on to our general fund balance. Once again, looking back to when LCFF came around in 13-14, we got an Indian fund balance of about 35 million. Now you look at 21-22 comes in about 131 million for ending fund balance. And then in 24-25 was down to 107 million. Couple reasons for that ending fund balance. We have our supplemental concentration grant dollars that we didn't spend that we carry over to the next year. There's the expanded learning opportunities program. We were notified last fiscal year, kind of late, that we had these dollars. And then we also have state COVID dollars that are that allow an ending fund balance. So that's some of the reason why we have 131 million of ending fund balance. It is made up of restricted programs, committed, and unrestricted. So moving on, looking at COVID-19 dollars, I wanted to update the board on our COVID-19 dollars in terms of the allocation amount, amount received, amount spent in term, or how long we have to spend these dollars. This first grouping has 4 buckets of dollars, and they were, the timeline on these has already passed. And so you'll notice the allocation amount received, and the amount spent are all the same. So that means we did spend all of the dollars that were allocated and received. The second grouping, 3 buckets of dollars, these need to be spent within the next year. So by September of 2023. And then lastly, the last grouping, we have 2 years to spend them by September of 2024. There is that one there at the bottom, Senate Bill 117. There's no deadline for those. I did forget to mention that the orange color are federal dollars and the blue are state dollars. And you'll notice that most of our funding comes from the federal side. So each of these buckets are funding sources. There's 15 of them, have their own slightly different requirements of what you can spend the dollars on and where the dollars actually come from on the federal and state level. So this is a summary of the previous 2 slides. Our total allocation of our COVID dollars for those 15 different buckets, about $89.7 million. We have received 57% of those dollars. So we received $51.5 million. And we spent 72% of those dollars, $37.3 million. Looking at this, you might wonder why we have spent dollars with a longer spending timeline before those funding streams with a shorter spending timeline. Well, the answer is that after we started spending the dollars, the timelines changed. So they gave us more time. And so they basically changed the rules halfway through, which was good for us. It gives us more time to effectively spend these dollars. So moving on, looking at our 4-year historical spending and ending fund balance. I took this snapshot directly out of Escape, which is our district's financial and position control system. You'll notice for 21-22, our revenue is $271.8 million, expenditures of $237, with an increase in our fund balance of $34.7 million. I want to highlight going back to 2018-19 actuals. 18-19 is kind of what our usual historical trend has been, where our revenue and our expenditures are very close to each other. And so we ended that year with just a positive calculated ending fund balance for the year of $800,000. But then COVID came along. So COVID shut us down March of 2020. And so that was in our 19-20 school year. We spent less on subs, transportation, and crossing guards. In 2021, we received $34 million in COVID dollars that allowed an ending fund balance. And in 21-22, we have our unspent supplemental concentration grant dollars, expanded learning opportunities program dollars, special ed, and also that $3.4 million from the Brooks family for music. So all of these have an impact on the ending fund balance. So some of the takeaways, our spending is in line with the past, but there's been other funding sources that come to the district to achieve these goals. So other funding came to the district starting in 2019-20. Let's move it on to the last slide, fund balance. So we ended the year, ending fund balance of $131.2 million. That's made up of non-spendable, which is $300,000. That's inventory and prepaid expenditures, almost $40 million of restricted dollars. We have to have our 3% reserve requirement. That's $7.1 million. Also, our committed by resolution of over $70 million. That's made up of textbook adoption, a schedule of debt service payments through 32-33, and also our other post-employment benefits. And then lastly, our supplemental concentration grant dollars, the $13 million that we do need to roll over to the next year. So that leaves a remaining balance of $418,000. And we have a larger demand for our ending fund balance, number of things, universal TK, pre-kindergarten at every campus, declining enrollment. We have declining enrollment. That means we have lower ADA and we have lower funding. Also, we don't know the full impact of COVID-19 in the long term. And also a demand is ventilation for the school sites. So with that, I can answer any questions.
What is our current enrollment? Do we have that right now, or can we get it?
16,600?
That's like 16,660. Be the exact number we got reporting out yesterday, but it's around 16,000.
1,000 and change from what we were down, prior?
Yeah.
Our peak was 17,125, our high water mark.
Okay.
When you mentioned ventilation at school sites, is that including things like AC, air conditioning, or is that separate from things like that?
Yeah, that's what that bullet. Yeah, correct.
And so does this figure mean that that's the only funding source that we have available for things like that? Or do we have other sources of funding available?
We do have other funding sources. For example, some of the COVID dollars are ESSER III dollars. There are dollars there that is one of the allowable uses for.
Questions?
A follow-up question that I have is, internally, we do some of this number crunching, I imagine, but do we also have the county? I know that a part of the resolution includes the county for approval, right, to be taken to the county. Who else helps us kind of like audit our numbers to make sure that they're correct?
So every year we use a CPA firm, Eide Bailey. They every year they audit our unaudited actuals. So we see them twice a year, once towards the end of the year, and then once I've closed the books, I give them all the information they request, and they're the ones that do all the auditing on our financials and everything else. And that audit will be done and hopefully presented either in December or January. So one of the auditors will be here either by Zoom or in person to go over the results of the audit.
And we do see those each time.
Any other questions? Motion?
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the 2021-22 unaudited actuals as presented and forward a positive certification to the County Superintendent of Schools.
I'll second.
Ms. Cordero moves, Mr. Valencia second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the 2021 unaudited actuals as presented. Discussion item AE 7A, first reading of board bylaw, DB 9220, governing board elections. Dr. McDuffie.
Yes, thank you, President Lara. The following board bylaws being updated according to CSB guidelines and in accordance to the district's transition from an at-large to a by-trustee area election system. Really, I'm just going to go through a couple of, just one slide, actually, once the brilliant Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Ricky, brings that up. There we go. So going to, I don't have a clicker, but you can do that for me. Recommended changes. There's 3 areas where the changes have really taken place. A consolidation of elections. It really doesn't apply to us because we have elections on the same day as statewide elections. But if not, to reduce, it's for the purpose of reducing the costs associated with elections. Not elections that are held on days other than statewide election days would have to be adopted and voted on by the county board of supervisors 240 days prior to a currently scheduled election date. And if the election date changes, the election terms for incumbents extended to that date of the election. So it does not apply to us, but that is the first section that's changed. And then we have elections process and procedures. We are trustee areas elections, And every 10 years, we have a decennial federal census. So that will be adjusted. If there are any modifications that need to be made and reviewed, and we need to make any modifications, I'll have a board report to you. And then we'll go through public hearings and adopt a resolution of those changes within our boundaries as a result. That's the other area. And then finally, campaign conduct is placed in here. Candidates and incumbents running for re-election shall abide by requirements regarding donations, fundings, and expenditures. And then board members also shall not expend or accept any public funds for the purpose of seeking elective office. So those are some of the highlights I just wanted to show for you. Also, it does have a section of encouraging candidates at the very beginning that I didn't put on the slide, but the superintendent or designee shall provide all candidates with information that will enable them to understand the responsibilities and expectations of being an incumbent coming into a board seat. So that's it for bylaw 9220.
Any questions?
Perfectly clear.
Good.
Great.
I acknowledge the first reading of the board bylaws 9920. Governing board elections presented and request administration to bring back the item back for further review and adoption at the next regular board meeting. Items 8B, release of the 2022-23 LPAC summative data.
Good evening. Yes, thank you. Good evening, board. I'm excited to welcome Lori Grock, our Director of Supplemental Programs. Up this evening, she is going to review the 22 spring LPAC data.
Don't be afraid of it.
Good evening. How does that sound?
There you go.
How do you like me now? All right. Good evening, board members, Dr. McDuffie, and audience members. Thank you for having me tonight. I am here to present the summative data results from the 2022 LPAC test administration. LPAC is California's assessment system that is used to determine the English language proficiency of students whose primary language is not English. The LPAC is aligned with the 2012 California English Language Development Standards, and it assesses 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. The summative LPAC is given only to students who have previously been identified as an English learner based upon initial LPAC results. The summative LPAC measures how well they are progressing with English development in each of the 4 domains. The purpose of the summative LPAC is to measure progress towards English proficiency, to help inform proper educational placement, and to help determine if a student is ready to be reclassified as fluent English proficient. This is important when ensuring that students continue to receive the supports that they need to do well in school. The summative assessment is given only to students in grades K through 12 who have been identified as English learners. These students take this assessment every year until they are reclassified as fluent English proficient. Students with disabilities who cannot take one or more domains of the LPAC with allowed universal tools or designated supports or accommodations can now take the alternate LPAC assessment as noted in their individualized education programs. The summative LPAC is a computer-based test administration in 7 grade spans: kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9 through 10, and 11 through 12. In kindergarten and grade 1, all domains are administered individually, one-on-one with a qualified test administrator. In grades 2 through 12, the test is administered in groups, exclusive of speaking, which is always assessed one-on-one. The summative LPAC was given this year from February 1st to May 31st. When we talk about data in our system, we've really made a focused effort to find a way to make the conversation consistent across multiple data points. It's hard when it's just an alphabet soup of numbers coming at boards or at educational partner meetings or even for our parents. And so we've devised this analogy of running a marathon. When we run a marathon, we don't get up off the couch and run 26 miles. At least I don't. So we take it in steps. We need to train for the ultimate goal of running the marathon. We're going to talk about data in that same analogy. So we're going to talk about growth for all students. This is represented by getting off of the starting block in the marathon. This is students moving forward every time they're assessed. So every student should move forward from where they were the last time they were assessed to where they are now. Then we talk about adequate growth. And when we talk about adequate growth in a marathon, we're talking about meeting our pacing goals or increasing our personal record or our personal best. So adequate growth is closing the gap for the students who are behind and maintaining the pace for students who are on grade level. And then ultimately, we want to finish the marathon. We want to cross the finish line. That is meeting the goal of proficiency. It's another way to look at our commitment, our bold stand, or our expectation. All students will move. That's growth. A minimum of a grade level each year. That's adequate growth. So that they can be successful college and career-ready citizens. That's achievement. So we're going to talk tonight about our LPAC data in terms of growth, adequate growth, and achievement. We'll start with our testing. So at SMBSD, our completion rate for the spring testing was 99.99%. Breaks my heart that we didn't get to 100%. We had one student who was enrolled with us early in the window and moved to Texas. So they no longer would take the LPAC because they moved out of California and we were not able to test them. And so our completion rate as a district was 99.99%. So let's talk about growth. Remember, growth is getting off the starting blocks, getting further than you were the last time you were assessed. The LPAC gives every student an overall scale score. It's a number score between 1150 and 1900. So for us, growth is every student who moved one or more points since the last LPAC summative score. 88% of our students had growth. Next, we talk about adequate growth. This is pacing in the marathon. This is meeting your designated pace or outpacing your personal record. The English learners take the LPAC to measure their progress towards English language proficiency. Each student receives a score, one of 4 LPAC performance levels, a 1, 2, a 3, or a 4. Those 4 LPAC performance levels are then divided into 6 LP or English language proficiency indicator levels to allow students enough time to demonstrate progress towards English language proficiency. So the state says that a student who has received a year of instruction in English should move 1 LP level. So for us, adequate growth is moving 1 LP level per year. 66.71% of our students moved at least 1 LP level or maintained a 4 overall, because you can't go up from a 4. And then finally, our ultimate goal, at least to get them redesignated and moving on to academic proficiency, is achievement. So on the LPAC, achievement is considered a level 4 or a well-developed English language learner. This makes a student eligible for RFEP criteria, and they can then be RFEP'd and not have to take the LPAC anymore. So in our system, the students who scored an overall level 4 on the LPAC summative represented 9.79%. It's important to remember that once they achieve an LPAC 4, then we look at the criteria for redesignation and move them out of the test. So this looks like a small number, but if we reclassify 10% of students every year, or at least get them to an LPAC 4 so that they can be reclassified, that's a pretty good rate. This chart represents the performance level by grade. So the orange is a 1, the yellow is a 2, the green is a 3, and the blue is a 4. And you can see the steady growth over the years of our students, remembering that once they hit 3rd 3rd or 4th grade, we start to reclassify them out so those bands kind of stay static at that point. This is a trend analysis by overall level over years from 2017 to last year. So the orange again is all of our students who had a 1, yellow is a 2, green is a 3, and blue is a 4. This is the disaggregation of data by student populations in that same conversational language of growth, meaning an increase of 1 point, and adequate growth, meaning an increase of 1 LP level. So we broke these down for you as our students who are at risk of becoming long-term English learners, students in our dual immersion program, students who are in the foster care system, students who are FERPL or free and reduced price lunch, so that's a socioeconomic disaggregation, students who are identified as gifted and talented, students who are experiencing homelessness, students who are qualified as migrant. And then that last one, we started with Mixteco and we added in, there were several very small groups of languages that were all Central American indigenous languages. So that category includes, forgive me, Amuzgo, Nahuatl, Pacuata, Tlapanec, Triqui, Zapoteco, and Mixteco. You can see the rates for growth and adequate growth, and then the rate for achievement of a level 4 on the LPAC, those same student groups. As I said, reclassification starts with an LPAC level 4. I've included in this presentation all of the criteria for consideration for reclassification as fluent English proficient. And then I've given you a chart of our RFEP rates as a percentage of total English language learners. The red line is Santa Maria Bonita School District going all the way back to 2011, 2012. The blue line is Santa Barbara County as a whole. And remember that would include 9th through 12th graders as well. And then the yellow line is the state of California. So when we talk about students and we talk about what we know and what this data tells us, the very next logical question is, well, what are we doing for them? How are we increasing these rates, maintaining these rates, supporting these particular students? And so we have lots of systems of support specific to English learners as well as school-wide programs. Specifically, our local control and accountability program calls out English language learners in Goal 1 with expanded learning programs, in Goal 3 with high-quality grade level instruction for all students, and in Goal 4 with our multilingual program, EIAs, EL coaches, State Seal of Biliteracy pathways, and our EL TOSA and program specialist. In addition, we receive specific funding from Title III Part A, and that's divided by funding for ELs and funding for immigrant students. Those funds are used primarily for newcomer materials, for professional learning, and for parent education. And then there are also multiple other funding streams in our system, including Title I Part A, Title I Part C, Title II Part A, Title IV Part A, or allocation, and of course, ESSER funds. So all of those have specific goals for English language learners in our system and specific actions and services to support their learning. So what's next? We continue to progress monitor at all times. This is a once-a-year test. We don't want our teachers to rely only on a once-a-year test. So we continue to encourage them to focus on multiple measures to inform instruction, such as common formative assessments, trends for students or groups and grades, social emotional data, and then using all of that data in conjunction with the EL data to provide comprehensive needs assessments to plan and pace instruction using just-in-time support and scaffolds in the classroom, and always with the focus on literacy priorities. And I will be back next month to provide to you a very similar presentation on our CASP data and SBAC, and that will include a disaggregation for our English language learners. And that is the LPAC summative review from 2022. Thank you for your time.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, can you please go back I think it's one slide? I wanted to get a better sense. So are these the supports that are available to our staff and our students? Is that what all of these are here to the right side?
Everything on the slide represents supports to our students and staff, specific to the funding streams that I've identified. So I went through all of the funding streams that call out English language learners and identified what the actions and services are under those funding streams.
So for example, let's say I'm a newcomer in our district. What types of supports could I expect from day one? From either my teacher or from coaches or from any other of our district staff?
So you can see there under Title III Part A for newcomers, you have newcomer materials, professional learning, and parent education, all available through that funding stream. So there are specific newcomer materials for those students who are literate in Spanish. They can request Spanish materials, and they also have access to Rosetta Stone or Lexia, depending on their grade level, and their parents also have access to that. And then professional learning for our ELD coaches and our site staffs as a whole. Is the newcomer student expected to request those services on their own, or based on teacher assessments, do they then recommend those supports for our students? So there's a system in place to request the Spanish materials, wherein the classroom teacher and the ELD coach at the site work together to establish literacy in Spanish and then request those materials from the IMC. So it's a joint. It is not the student who initiates the request. It's the teacher and the ELD coach working together to get them the materials that they think are most appropriate to their needs.
Yeah, and let's definitely do some follow-up in the area of textbooks available in Spanish, because I know that one of our staff members today mentioned that sometimes they don't have access for whatever reason to materials in Spanish. And so let's make sure that our staff have those resources readily available.
Thank you for sharing that.
Comments?
I have some follow-up questions. I used the example of a newcomer. What about a student that's either been a long-term English learner or an emerging multilingual student? What types of supports are available? Let's say I've been learning English for 3 years. What types of supports could I expect from my teachers, from all of our district staff, from the top to any other of our staff members? What could an EL student expect if they're in their 3rd year of learning English?
So an EL student could expect all of the things on the screen specific to ELs. So some of our after-school programs are targeted specifically to English language learners for a language-rich environment or a boot camp to prepare for the LPAC. They can expect high-quality grade-level instruction, as all of our students do in our classrooms. They can work towards the seal of biliteracy. They can expect library materials, parent education materials, all of those things for an English language learner student, as well as bilingual instructional assistance as available. We start with the lowest grades and work our way up until we have difficulty staffing those, but the goal is always to get those staffed across the board.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question, is for our teachers, right? What supports can they expect to have readily available to them besides like a BIA, which sounds like we're struggling to staff some of those positions, if I'm not mistaken. Is that still the case?
So I would defer to HR and Dr. Cameron on the staffing issue of bilingual instructional assistants. I don't know the numbers specifically, but to answer the other half of your question, in addition to BIAs in the classroom, we do have an ELD coach and an instructional coach on every site who is working with teachers to identify the best strategies for ELs and the needed materials and supports. We have several supplemental programs that teachers can explore. The adopted curriculum all has an EL component that they can leverage to support their EL students as well. And so all of those supports are available, as well as professional learning opportunities.
In terms of the professional learning opportunities, is that like a once a month type of thing? Like, is that embedded in a PLC, the professional learning community, or is that like a separate training? So like how often can our teachers expect to receive support in supporting our English language learners?
So it's all of that and more. There are some professional learning opportunities that are self-guided that teachers can access on their own with recorded resources. They can always go to their ELD coach and instructional coach for one-on-one or coaching cycles. And then the ELD coach works with the principal at the site to embed ongoing professional learning in staff meetings throughout the school year. And then on days that we have professional learning as a district-wide event, there are always options in the menu that teachers can choose that would help them with their EL students.
Get all your clarification, Mr. Valencia?
At this moment, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you next month.
I'll acknowledge the receipt of Teaching and Learning Supplemental Program LPAC data as presented. Item 8C, Report of Actuarial Valuation for Retiree Health Benefits Program under GSB 75. Mr. Beecher, Mr. King.
Good evening. So this is another annual housekeeping item. We're required to describe the actuarial liability of the district's retiree health benefits. This is the estimated accrued but unfunded liability for the post-retirement benefits. It's important to note that this is a closed pool, meaning the report is based on and calculated on active employees and actual retirees and not potential future employees. To qualify for our post-employment benefits, the employee must have at least 10 years of full-time work service, be at least 55 years old, and the benefits will end when the member reaches age 65. So the actuarial liability as of June 30th, 2021 is $24,298,758. What this number represents, it's the net present value, today's dollars, of our potential future costs. So the valuation includes benefits for 60 retirees and over 1,100 active employees who may become eligible to retire and receive benefits in the future. So what the actuary looks at is our healthcare costs, mortality tables, healthcare trends. They try to create a formula to measure risk and uncertainty, and they come up with this number, which is the $24.3 million.
At the end of your presentation?
Oh, yes, it is.
You want to go through it one more time? No, I'm just kidding.
If you really want me to.
Waiting for the board president to come back really quick.
I'll buy Mr. Lara some time. A question that I have is, I'm really glad to see, right, that we have benefits for our staff, while they're employees. It sounds like these are benefits that they receive after when they're no longer working with us. Is that correct?
Correct. In order to receive these benefits, you have to have 10 years of continuous service, be at least 55 years old.
And does that mean that they receive these services until they're the age of 65 or when they're the age of 65?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When do they start receiving these services?
So if you retire at 57, you get it from 57 until you're 65.
So 65
is cut off, yeah.
Gotcha. And
Medicare.
And then how common are these benefits? In other words, is this the norm in other districts, or are we exceptional? Are we kind of, where do we stand compared to other districts in terms of these benefits?
I'll take that answer. I think I'll take that question. It varies from district to district. Some districts provide lifetime benefits. This number becomes much larger. And other districts don't offer access to the health benefits plan that's offered by the school. Santa Maria Bonita School also does that. So answer to your question, it is varied across the board, but it's not uncommon for a district for retirees who have a continued full-time service. I think we're fortunate plan design as an exit and 5 when transition, whereas so that they have that transition. A lot of folks will stay on in order to maintain benefits. They really are ready to retire, but they want to maintain folks we're ready to transition.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I acknowledge the receipt of the report for the actuarial evaluation for retiree health benefits program under GASB 75 is presented. Anybody have anything they can report out, Ms. Cordero?
Oh my goodness. It's been quite a month and we're already in September. I have visited a couple of schools and then was out of town with my husband last week, but I've been to Fessler and to Libin. I was offered an opportunity to learn about a new program that United Way is just kind of at ground level with in regards to putting in upper elementary, really begin to understand that sounds like it will be both fun and very interesting to see what happens. And I missed the first county school board meeting because I just absolutely totally forgot. I had it on my calendar and just came and went.
Dexter.
Well, I was already doing something else. Something else took priority, I guess. And it was a privilege to have Dr. McDuffie attend the chamber event the 1st of September, where various people and organizations were recognized in our community. And he actually, after a few minutes, recognized quite a few people, and I think mingled and mixed and is beginning to feel quite comfortable in our community. And it was a very nice event. Well done, very succinct. No 20-minute speeches, things like that. So that's it.
Mr. Valencia?
Sure. I want to commend our district staff, Dr. McDuffie, for their leadership in instituting the student advisory program that I believe is, in the works. This is an opportunity where our young people are going to receive in-depth leadership development. They'll be able to attend workshops, hear from some of our community leaders, maybe even attend some college field trips. And that's something that I know has been something that I've been advocating for is that student voice, right? We hear a lot from adults, and I'm so happy to hear that we have a lot of teachers here today that have shared their experiences, the things that we often don't see. And in addition to that, one of our highly valued community partners or education partners is our students themselves. I really like how the winner of today's Key to the District Award said, the parents and the students are my boss, because it's that type of accountability that I think is really outstanding to kind of keep that at the forefront of our minds. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the development of that and how we can continue to develop the people that will replace us in our leadership roles. And we'll do this work hopefully better than we will. I also wanted to bring attention to, I received an 8th grade reading list from Dr. McDuffie in our weekly board announcements. And I was really happy to see that there was a range of different books, and it sounded like literacy was a really important aspect to many of our teaching staff. So I'm looking forward to figuring out ways that we can continue to promote literacy for our students. Although one thing that I noticed is I didn't see a big range of books by or about African Americans or Asian Americans or Latinos or Native Americans. And so I love the idea of an 8th grade reading list, but I would like to see a bit more diversity in that reading list, because just like we heard today in the inspiration, I think it was at Battle School, that we want our young people to feel seen, right? And we know that in our district, over 95% of our students are of Latinx descent. And so we want to make sure that our young people can feel like they're valued, that their culture matters, which leads me into now honoring Latino Heritage Month, right? Which to my understanding begins September 15th, goes into the middle of October the 15th. And so I'm really excited to see what our district staff can do, right? To ensure that our young people feel seen, that our Latinx staff, right, also feel appreciated. If you notice around Santa Maria, I'm seeing a lot of Mexican flags, right? So it's that time of year. And it warms my heart to see our community feel proud, right, of their heritage, whether that's of Mexican descent, right, whether it's of Asian descent, any background. Amazing things happen when we feel valued, that our culture matters. And so I'm looking forward to see some of the creative things that our district will be doing to honor our children. In addition to that, I wanted to share that I had the privilege of attending the California Latino School Board Member Association Conference that just took place a couple weeks ago. And it was myself and Dr. McDuffie were able to attend the conference, and it was outstanding. It was one of the best conferences that I've been to. Some of the key issue areas, there were many great workshops, but some that stood out to me was there was a couple of workshops on ethnic studies and the research out of Stanford University, even research out of the CTA, my own teacher association, research that has been done that shows that when we provide our young people with mirrors and windows, right, when they get to learn about other cultures and learn about themselves, they improve their academic outcomes, not even only in the social sciences or in English, where these classes typically reside, but even math scores often go up, right? Empathy, right, across different cultures increases. Attendance rates, graduation rates, college going rates, which is why I've emphasized time and time again the value, right, of ethnic studies. And I'm excited to see that at Festa we have a pilot course that's taking place. But I really am looking forward to seeing the expansion of that at our other school sites so that every single child in our district can benefit from something like that. So I'm excited to work with the board on that. They also had a couple of workshops on hiring equity. And that's something that is really important to me. We want to make sure that our district is attracting and retaining diverse talent. Our leadership, right, should look like the community that we serve. And so I look forward to working with everyone to help make that happen as well. Another thing that really stood out to me from the conference was there was a school district that was very intentional with their field trip opportunities. Specifically, what they did is at the third grade level, they would pretty much guarantee that the third graders would go to a specific university, say San Jose University. I believe the district that I'm referring to is Greenfield. And then their fourth grade students would visit, say, Stanford. And then their fifth grade students would visit, say, UC Berkeley, and so forth. So they were very intentional about making sure, right, that every single grade level, their young people would have at least one opportunity to visit a college campus. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how we can possibly copycat, learn best practices from that, maybe even do it better than they're doing it, right? Because that was the very inspirational part, right? Is seeing what people are doing well and what we're doing well as well that we can brag about. Something that I really appreciated that the Greenfield superintendent and school board said when they presented to us is they said, we are not afraid of looking at the good stuff that we do and our areas for improvement. I think that growth mindset is so critical. And so I appreciated hearing from all of our staff today, talking about the importance of listening, right? As a board member, I'm here to listen and I'm here to also attempt to serve. And I hope that we can all work together to make that happen, that vision of success for our students. Wrapping up, it really, one of the things I spoke to Mr. McDuffie about, Dr. McDuffie, is about the AC issue. I'm in the classroom as well, and I have the privilege of having AC in my classroom. And I know that for a fact that that is not the case for many of my teaching colleagues, staff colleagues. And so one of the things that I spoke to Dr. McDuffie was about, hey, Dr. McDuffie, how can we make this a priority, right? We know, unfortunately, that global warming is a continuing issue. So we can unfortunately anticipate more unfortunate circumstances like the heat wave we just had. So therefore, how can we prioritize getting some ACs into our classrooms that don't have them, or figure out other ways? Because hearing that some of our students are throwing up in the classroom, passing out, I mean, yeah, just, it's very difficult for learning to occur in that environment. And so I hear those concerns, and I'm excited to work on solutions for that. Thank you all very much.
Flores?
I was at the county board meeting, and I know they're offering a training session for new board members. Information will be going out to the districts if it hasn't already. I believe it's a September 21st date for presentation and and questions and answers. The other piece, and I forgot my notes, darn it, but we had a great presentation on a link to mental wellness. I know Dr. Salcedo is going to be sending out the link. So that information will be coming to us also. Very informative what other districts are up against, very similar to our district. And lots of turnaround in terms of election year, those kinds of things coming up too.
That workshop is for those people who are running for school board positions also. It's not just for new members.
That's it.
Well, if I've got, take my hat off to Maggie. The Shoes for Students was a big success this Sunday. It was very touching to see these two little boys out there spending their Sunday raising money for kids all across the district. Cooper and Mason, two great little boys, had a heart of gold, and their concerns were for every kid, not just in Santa Maria Bonita, but every district throughout our county. And the way they represented themselves and their demeanor was really, really heartfelt, and they did a great job, as well as everybody else that participated that was out on that course. And Maggie, I take my hat off to you for running a successful Shoes for Students. Then also I got to visit Mr. Segura at the SME office to see all those wonderful Post-its. That was awesome. I read a lot of them, the concerns from our certificate and everything. Took notes, and it was very inspiring to see concerns, and thank you for the invite. All I've got.
All right. Thank you, President Laura. I guess I will wrap this up by, first of all, saying thank you also for getting a sneak peek at the all the comments and at the SME office. Thank you so much, Mr. Segura, for that. Also, the Unity Conference that the CLSBA put on was outstanding. As a matter of fact, Ms. Loftus just informed me this evening that we have schoolyard wrap, and I'm not going to say much about that except for they're going to be here for Hispanic Heritage Month, and they'll be performing at each of the schools. And so staff will really, I think, enjoy that, and particularly our students will enjoy schoolyard wrap, and I will make sure that board members are invited so you can see the fun and the connection that happens when schoolyard wrap comes to schools this month. So just wanted to say that. Also, I have experienced my first heat wave in Santa Maria this last week, and no one ever told me that it gets that hot out here.
It doesn't.
In any case, I know this is a major concern for students and for teachers in our classroom, regardless of the frequency of the hot weather. With my visit to Miller School last week, I could see on the faces of many of the teachers and staff a feeling of exhaustion due to the weather. With that being said, it is my hope that we can get AC to every classroom in the next couple of years. That's my hope, and so we're making that a priority. Bruce and Miller schools were supposed to be completed, but supply chain issues created a delay in a part not being available that was critical to the AC units. So we will have to go out and rebid those schools for the summer of 2023. In addition, Bruce and Miller, we've completed feasibility studies and have made applications for additional service to El Camino Junior High School and Alvin. And again, once approved by PG&E, we can begin bidding and scheduling. Mr. Beecher and staff will begin working on the remaining schools to submit applications and complete the studies needed. One of the issues we will need to address with PG&E is the needed power from the grid. That our current equipment allows in order to run AC in every classroom. So I know this does not solve the current concerns, but I want the community to know that we are working on it. In the meantime, whatever schools can do to mitigate these concerns with creativity and innovation, whether it's circulating through areas at your site, through the library, NPRs, then work with your site administrators to do those things. I'll continue to update the community on this important issue. I also want to thank Dave Dobransky for being the first recipient of the Key to the District. Yeah, I look forward to visiting his class. It's really it's something that I want to bring to Santa Maria Bonita. That is recognizing the awesome staff that's here. The staff, even as I've been going around and visiting, just have been outstanding. They're just outstanding people here in Santa Maria. I'll just put it that way. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to, I started going off the cuff and I have my notes here. I'm about to say the same thing, so I'm going to do it. I'd like to say thank you to the SMBSD community and particularly school sites and the staff that I've been visiting over the past several weeks. And when I began my journey here, July 1st, I talked to the board and I talked to them about I knew it would be important for me to listen and learn. And I told you that I'd be providing you with recommendations of priorities at the end of 100 days, or at the end of this, it'll be at the end of this month. These recommendations will be based upon the observations and all the feedback that I've received from the classified, certificated community members and parents. It is clear to me that the area of building relationships will be critical to creating a new SMBSD where everyone feels valued and a part of the community. This will involve our students, our parents, our teachers, administrators, our departmental staff, our office staff. You know, public schools are considered institutions, but I don't want to be part of an institution, but rather a human organization. In my visit with teachers, I've been talking about the power of words and the impact that our words have on the lives of every single student that we encounter. And so as we work together in using the power of words and the power of relationships, I would not want to be anywhere else than where I am now. And I know we need to begin with healing and growing as an organization. Right now, I hear the division with words and the words that are chosen, the district, SMEA, CSEA, administrators, this, that, and the other. The words signal to me that there needs to be reconciliation, that there needs to be healing and a collective voice in creating a new path to reach unlimited possibilities for the students we serve. And so we will continue to have the difficult and honest conversations in order to forge this new path, because our students deserve the very best of us. I've gone out and I've told staff members or teachers that we will also have instructional services go out and have listening sessions with staff as well. Because I think it's really important that that happens. I don't know if any of you know what a possibilitarian is, but I am one of those people. Norman Vincent Peale says this. I want us all to become possibilitarians. He says this about this. He says, become a possibilitarian, no matter how dark things seem to be or actually are. Raise your sights and see possibilities. Always see them, for they are always there. That is who I am, and I see greatness ahead for us here in Santa Maria Bonita School District.
Thank you, President Lohr. That's all I have.
It was very nice, very, very nice. Well, with that, we'll adjourn the meeting and enjoy your Junior Friday.